Do you remember? Money, 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 money.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Is it?
Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
Yeah.
Yes, it came after
It's
the
Scrooge
snore.
McDuck, isn't it?
Let's get this Shaw on the road. Get your snow tires on, come to the Shaw and see both of our Christmas shows. If you love to sing along, White Christmas tickets can't go wrong. If Christmas carol's more your mood, I hear the new Bob Cratchit's good. Oh, let's get this Shaw on the road.
Kelly,
Hey, Spike.
did I just hear what I thought I heard at the end of that song?
You know, our listeners can't see it right now, but you are rolling your eyes.
For our listeners at home, the beautiful and wonderful, talented Travisito, who has composed and written the lyrics for our beautiful podcast theme, at the end of that particular jingle that you've just heard, the holiday version of our podcast theme song, has actually put himself in that song because he, in fact, is playing Bob Cratchit this year in a Christmas.
Shameless, Travis. Travis, you're shameless. I know you're listening to this. Shameless.
Yes, that Bob Cratchit is good, Travis.
Let us know what you think about this lyric edition. But hey, we're back. We're back. We're back for our winter season.
Yay.
We are back. We have 3 episodes for you over the course of the next 3 weeks. We're doing one today about A Christmas Carol, where we've got Graeme Somerville and Michael Therriault. Next week, we're going to do something on White Christmas. And I'm excited about this.
Very exciting, Kelly. This is your passion project, honestly.
It's
It's been amazing to see how glowing you are when you talk about this.
Thanks.
It's pretty fabulous.
So after the White Christmas episode comes out, the following week after that is going to be our special Memories of the Royal George episode, where we're going to be diving into the history and the legacy of the Royal George Theatre. We saw an opportunity where, okay, so in case you don't know, which you probably do if you're listening to this, but we are tearing down the George at the end of this season to build the next chapter in what the Royal George will be moving
One that
forward.
doesn't flood.
One that doesn't flood, one that has accessible bathrooms, one that has
A loading dock.
A loading dock, a lobby that patrons can stand in and actually have a chat instead of just being bowled over, but because you're shoulder to shoulder with people. All the things. It's going to be an incredible new building once we get there.
Yep.
But this building has so many memories and so much history to it that we thought this is the perfect opportunity to celebrate that. It's going to be a little bit different than the types of episodes that you're used to hearing on our show. You can think more along the lines of something like This American Life or 99% Invisible, where we really dive into the history of this place and we intersperse it with the memories from the people who have been in that building. People like Cameron Porteous, who redesigned and renovated the George to the building that we see today.
Amazing.
Patty Parr, who was his right-hand person for that whole process. We've got interviews with people who have passed, who are no longer with us, but were foundational to the building. And plenty of memories from people who have more recently had their hand in what the George is. We're really excited about it. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So make sure to come back for that in a couple of weeks.
And you've put a lot of work into this project, and which I really believe is going to be a proper archive for us. It will be a real legacy piece for us to draw on as the Royal George enters this new era, as the Shaw Festival enters this new era in terms of the campaign.
Yeah, that's the hope.
It is the hope. And one of the things that we have loved about this podcast and doing these podcasts and sharing these memories and these experiences is when people write into us. And we received an email, which was really, truly special. And Kelly, will you give it a read for us?
Yeah, we loved getting this one. This was from Perry, and it made our days. So it says, "Hey, Spike and Kelly. In 1999, I was planning a surprise 10th anniversary trip. We're from Pittsburgh, and I bought tickets to the Phantom of the Opera in Toronto. While looking for things to round out that trip, I stumbled upon the Shaw Festival. My wife's favorite novel was Rebecca, and guess what was playing at the Royal George? Rebecca. My thought going in was that my wife would love the shows and I'd tolerate them, but I was wrong. We both loved them, and until we became parents in 2002, we saw a handful of shows at the Shaw each year. After Ellie was born, we'd take turns seeing a show while the other hung out with the stroller by the lake. Fast forward to 2024, our 30th anniversary, another surprise trip. Witness for the prosecution. This time our daughter came along and discovered that she loved theater too. The three of us saw 7 shows at the Shaw this year, and our dream of seeing every production in the season is getting closer to reality. Your podcast has been the cherry on top. After listening, we added Major Barbara to our lineup, and it became our daughter's favorite show. I love Shaw's insight. You've learned something. That always feels at first as though you've lost something. In a troubled world, we need the power of theater to shine a light on our shared humanity more than ever. As you can probably tell, I'm thrilled to have found my way back to the Shaw Festival, but I'm so disappointed that the podcast season is over. It is just for this season, right? Right? Please say there's more to come. With gratitude, Perry.
I love the urgency in that question because I think when we read it, we were like, ooh, we don't know. And now we do know. And
we do.
We do. And we will be coming back for 2026 season. We are so excited. And yes, Perry, we will be getting into the 2026 season with enough time to not only hear the podcast, but to read the plays and to hear all of the interesting ins and outs of each production before you come and see them. So we will be back for the 2026 season, and we'll be working on those as soon as we get rolling into rehearsals. And I think that's one of my favorite things reflecting back on this past season was how spontaneous we had to roll, like the episode with Major Barbara, where, Jillian had to go to an emergency fitting in the middle. And it's also interesting because we had to roll with the way the theater world works with this particular conversation with Graeme and with Michael, because our goal had been to talk to all 3 Scrooges, which was Graeme Somerville and Michael Therriault and Sanjay Talwar. And Sanjay, as we were ready to record this episode, got an emergency call to fly to Edmonton to be to actually go on for the lead in Life of Pi. And he saw like a preview, and he did a walkthrough, and he performed like the next night. It was unbelievable. So it just so we have
You talk about an actor's nightmare. That, to me, the show is already running. It's already got an audience. Hey, by the way, you're on. Oh my God.
It's already up in previews, and he did it. I mean, this is what we do. We love our jobs, and we hit the ground running. So we would have had all 3 Scrooges from the last 8 seasons on, except Sanjay had to fly to Edmonton.
It's a pretty good excuse.
So
if I ever heard one.
We will just leave it at that, Sanjay Talwar. But he is this year's Scrooge, so he will be back in time to be back in performance. But we do have joining us Michael Therriault. He's a staple in Canadian theatre, comedy gold, a very profound, generous performer, and very kind human. You might have seen him in the original Canadian casts in the production of The Producers and The Lord of the Rings. He's been on the West End in London as well. And of course, his triumphant Shaw Festival arrival with Me and My Girl, and most recently in Anything Goes. And he was the original Ebenezer Scrooge in our production of A Christmas Carol.
And Graeme Somerville, you might recognize him from one of 41 productions with the Shaw Festival since 2003. This year he was in Dear Liar, Tons of Money, and A Christmas Carol. Before we talk to them, we're going to chat with TC and find out his thoughts on putting A Christmas Carol into the Shaw Festival seasons.
Well, we got here in 2017, Tim Jennings and I, and we looked at each other and said, surely we should do A Christmas Carol here at Christmas in the Royal George. Look at this quaint, pretendy Edwardian theatre. Why don't we do a pretendy Victorian show? And Charles Dickens is, of course, a huge hero of mine. I've read everything he ever wrote, including all his letters. So I'm an uber nerd about Dickens. And Christmas Carol is one of his pieces that really does actually cry out to be put on stage. Most of his novels are too complicated. But Christmas Carol just has such a warmth to it and such a beautiful atmosphere. And it's set in this idealized, oldie-worldy English setting, and that sort of is Niagara-on-the-Lake in the winter. It looks more like a snow-covered English village than almost any English village does. So it was a real no-brainer to put it on in 2017. We have put it on every year since then for the simple reason that people keep insisting on coming to it, and we're certainly not going to deprive them while they're besieging the box office every year. But it's a really nice chance for us to do something imaginative and a bit Shaw Festival-like, using our love of words, our love of the language that Dickens shared. There's some beautiful long speeches in the play which are word for word from Dickens, and which the actors have great fun getting their mouths around. And we also love making it very specific to Niagara-on-the-Lake. We actually have incorporated the main street of Niagara-on-the-Lake into our design, which it's not giving anything away to say that the front cloth of our show is in fact an advent calendar, which is a picture, a rather beautiful watercolour painting of a snow-covered Queen Street. And so from the very beginning, we're saying to people, this isn't happening in Britain, this is happening here. And we pepper the script with jokes of varying degrees of dad joke lameness about Greaves, the jam shop, and the Just Christmas shop, and so on. There's a lot of rather silly, jokey references which the author put in, by which I don't mean Charles Dickens, I mean me. So we have a lovely time every year with the audience. They have to really use their imagination with this show. We have a lot of puppets. We have a lot of characters of whom we don't see the whole being. Sometimes you have to fill in the rest of the person, or sometimes it's only a shadow, or sometimes it's only a tiny puppet. But in each case, the audience sees what they need to see, and they fill out the show so that it really does seem to encompass the whole world, as the book does at one point. So that allied with the fact that we really get in amongst the audience, both before, during, and after the show, and we have a little photo opportunity at the end of the show as well, means that we really want people not to think of it as a show that they come to see, but as a group of friends that they come to spend time with every year.
Well, actually, I'm not from Prince Edward Island, but my family all is.
I thought you were.
I know, because
my bad.
all of my family, and I've got a huge family. They all live there. My brother and I are the only two that don't live there. And so I was born in Ontario. Seriously, you're like the black sheep. So I was born in Oakville, grew up in Oakville, and I come from a maritime family. We would always have these every weekend my house would be a kitchen party, and I wouldn't think anything of it. There'd be like, piano and violin and guitar every weekend with like 30 people singing in my living room. My mom grew up step dancing, so she put my brother, sister, and I in tap dancing because that was the closest thing, which sort of opened the door. And Fame was on TV, so I was like, oh, that school looks amazing. And so I opened up the phone book and I found 2 schools in Ontario. And I said to my parents, can I go here for grade 9? And they're like, no, it's really far away. No. And so then in grade 8, a kid in my class was going, and I snuck along, and I got into both these schools, and my parents were like, no, we can't afford it. It's like an hour and a half away. We can't do that.
Sorry, wait, hang on a second. You snuck there? How did you sneak there? Did you like go eat
remember.
a suitcase?
I think I just
trunk of a car?
No, but I think it's funny. I don't remember, but I think they were going. I said, well, can I go too? And I went and auditioned.
Wow.
It's funny. I don't remember. And I got into both programs.
Amazing.
And my parents still said no. Somehow, I went to this tiny little school in Oakville, and my principal, I was a really shy kid. People didn't really know I was into this stuff. I was really quiet. And somehow he found out, and he talked my parents into it. He found funding because it was a lot of money, like like train and TTC and tuition, because I wasn't in part of the school board. That he found a way to pay for everything, and then my career changed. My life changed because all of a sudden, where I was sort of a weirdo in my grade school, I went to art school, and it was totally cool if you danced and wanted to sing, and and my life changed. Yeah, completely.
And was that school in Toronto?
It was Etobicoke. Yeah.
Oh, in Etobicoke.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was a music theater major and a dance minor. It was the first year music theater existed. I was the only guy in all of my classes. So shy. I never sang a lick. I'd get up in front of people and I'd go, oh, and I'd sit down. But they kept passing me because they didn't want me to leave. Any other circumstance, I would have been kicked out. And I auditioned there was a director who came to our school looking for kids for Oliver at Stage West. I auditioned and I got in, and she got me an agent, and she kind of saw something in me, and that agent I've been with for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And when did the Shaw Festival cross your path?
I was working at Stratford, and I came and saw, I think, Major Barbara with Kelly Fox and Shari Flett. I loved it. Hard to get between the two festivals, as we all know. It's hard to get between the two, particularly on public transit. So
Does it really exist?
It was rare that I got to see much at Shaw. When I was my years at Stratford, I was there for 7 years. So I saw more of Shaw after I left.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you start working here?
I started working here in 2017, and I was here for 3 years, and then I was away for 5, and now I'm back.
And now you're back.
Yeah.
And that was Me and My Girl.
And Andrew Cleese and the Lion.
Andrew Cleese and the
Christmas
Lion.
Carol. That's right. And a Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, where you were the first Scrooge for the inaugural Christmas season at the Shaw Festival.
That's right. Yeah.
This is wild.
And I remember Tim saying, now, look, I know you think you're probably too young for Scrooge. He said, but like the guy I had in Norway was quite young, younger than your original concept of what that would be. It was fun because I remember TC let me look at the archive tape from Norway to get an idea of what the show was, and also the flavor of the show, the tone of the show. And the guy, although I didn't speak Norwegian, I got a sense of his tone, which was quite heightened. So it was quite fun on the show. Like the first take, from the inside out anyway, it felt I was going for quite heightened and, like a heightened edge. And then the second year round, it was neat because Molly Atkinson came in and she's like, I love it, but I want to try a slightly different take. I want to take some of the heightening down, and I want to take off the beard and take off the wig and use your own hair. And it was neat, sort of like shifting things just a little bit and thinking, oh yeah, it's nice to do it two different ways. It might not seem that vastly different on the outside, but on the inside it felt quite different and really fun to explore it from two different angles. That was a joy being able to do it a couple times with a different person's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's when I'm hoping to sort of just go down that memory lane with both you, Michael, and Graeme, and this kind of amazing experience we have with the Christmas Carol, which is the tradition of it. And in the tradition of that, I'm just wondering, Graeme, what was that like to step into that role, to make it your own, and knowing that the frame of the production is somewhat set, but you're there to create your own version of Scrooge. You're there to do your performance of Scrooge.
I mean, it was delightful to be, it's always been such a wonderful experience to do, both a really enjoyable cast to work with, but also it's a special actor-audience relationship with the show that I really enjoyed. But it was really delightful to be in this production again from the beginning, but in a different role as Hubble.
I was going to say, because you actually originated in this production of Hubble.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I was there with Mike from the very beginning and to watch him take it and do it and delight in that. And he was so magnificent in it. But you can't, when you take a role on, it's your voice that you've got to start telling the story with. Mike very generously handed me a script that he had very carefully annotated all of his movements and the directions and timings, because it is a very precise show. The telling of the story is quite concise, and well, as you know, as puppet and movement coordinator, things are very split second for a lot of the timing. So it was great to inherit that. So you do inherit that form and structure. And there is some movement within that as well. But then you have to grapple your own imagination to it and go from there. And try not to lose the things that were so golden that the other person did, but you can't, like, I don't have Mike's voice. I don't have his exact comic nous. So I'd have to find my own ways. And yet some things like the money snore, that's, you can't get rid of that. That you anchored that in there from the beginning, and the kids just bloody love it.
Maybe would both of you give us your money snore?
I don't remember, but I did. Do you remember?
Money.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Is it?
Money.
Oh yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, money.
I don't know. I don't know.
Money.
That's right.
Money. Yeah.
Yes, it came after.
It's Scrooge
the snore.
McDuck, isn't it?
It's totally
It
Scrooge
totally is.
McDuck.
Yeah. What I actually quite love about the way this has happened at Shaw is it's so much fun seeing different people play the same part. Yeah, they can only bring their own quality and their own sense of humor. I love that. I always dreamt it would be fun to have Scrooge change every year, like just somebody different, and even some like Patty Jameson, or like just really change it up. So you really get like, because it is amazing how different the same words and staging can be on a different person, and I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. It is in the evolution of it. The production supports that kind of playing in the storytelling of it as well. So the shape of the piece and the vibe of the piece allows for that amazing breathing space to kind of make it your own. But like you say, to have that opportunity to see other people step into it, it's actually really fun. It's actually quite a lovely experience, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. You know, it's actually quite thrilling to see it. Yeah. And I guess this is where a holiday story, something like A Christmas Carol, which we were talking about with the Holiday Inn and White Christmas, and these stories that come around at this time of year, they don't grow old. You actually want to come and immerse yourself in that tradition again. And I did want to pick your brain a little bit, Graeme, about Charles Dickens and the writing of Christmas Carol. I know that you have a love for Dickens. I remember seeing you do an incredible reading of The Death of Nancy from Oliver. You did it in the rehearsal hall. And I had chills down my spine. It felt like you embodied that text and language so much. And I wanted to know just what your thoughts are on Dickens and the writing of the piece A Christmas Carol, and if you have anything you wanted to tell us about or share with us.
Absolutely. I think one of the things about it that we're touching on right here is this sense of ritual, that we revisit stories, that we have, you know, it was long a part of our societies that we've had cyclical events that are either recur through the year cycle or recur through a lifetime, right? That we have these community and individual events that are deeply important and meaningful, that we attach all sorts of things to, about coming of age, bonding. And in becoming an increasingly secular society, we have lost some of those loops, right? And I think Christmas Carol has started to fulfill a sort of secular ritual in English-speaking societies in a new way, because there's not a lot about it that is very religious, aside from the music that we tend to associate with it. But the piece itself has become something that is told again and again so widely across communities, English-speaking communities, that it's really become a part of an annual tradition. It's a ghost story, too, at Christmas. It's an odd thing, but that in itself has somehow stuck around.
Yeah. And there's something really beautiful in the way that like you say, it doesn't have to be specifically about that, yes, it's Christmas Eve and going into Christmas Day, but really that understanding, coming to terms with a part of yourself in that growth and change and the way your eyes can be open to new ideas is really, really beautiful. Okay, so I was going to go back to both of you and your memories of this production. And we don't have Sanjay Talwar here, who is the current Scrooge. And an emergency of being flown out to Edmonton to have to fill in for Life of Pi is a really good reason not to be on this podcast. We'll accept that, Sanjay. But we are missing that third perspective of the person who's in Scrooge's shoes now.
The Scrooge of Christmas Present.
Exactly. And also someone who has done his own one-man version of Christmas Carol out in BC for many, many years. And so we'll pick his brain about the whole flipping of his world and the text at another time. But I'm wondering if the two of you think back, what's a favorite moment on stage in the show that you remember?
I loved watching the shadow play. I thought that was always really beautiful. So Scrooge gets on a swing and he's raised up in the air and he watches as his bed curtain becomes a shadow play. And the shadow play is the story of his youth, who he was and how he became who he is. The kid in you enjoys a puppet show. And I think shadow plays can be really, really magical. And I thought that one was.
This is interesting to think of because I think what I want to say is two of my favorite consistent memories have to do with two of the most challenging moments in the play. And they're not as Scrooge. They're as Jacob Marley and the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come.
Oh, bless.
Of being inside those puppets and trying to spell this out for our listeners. They are larger than life, multi-person puppets. You are moving around with large structures that you're balancing in different ways that are awkward and unwieldy. And you're trying to collaborate in darkness and fog while moving around the stage and dodging obstacles that you can barely see or indeed can't see. You just have to memorize how many steps you go in one direction or the other. The whole focus beneath that technical challenge is to animate these things and make them feel like they are breathing, animate ghosts and working with a collective so tightly to try to unite what those actions are. It's tough, but it's fun. It's a delightful challenge.
And what about this audience piece? This is a unique thing. I mean, we know at the Shaw Festival, we do have shows like Androcles and the Lion, and we have shows where we've actually been quite involved with the audience as living, breathing parts of the show. And this is a unique experience for this production of Christmas Carol. And I'm wondering about any memories you have of like specific audience interactions or specific moments that the audience, something happened that kind of brought that, excitement or just twigged that for you.
I loved yelling at the audience when we walked in, telling them to move so you can get past. I found that so much fun. It's fun being a jerk. So that was a lot of fun.
And that's your first entrance, right? When you first come in?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's Scrooge's first entrance. And he has to get people to move so he can get onto the stage.
It's interesting. When I did it, I cut that cross across the front of the stage because I really didn't want to do it. For me, physically, I'm a bigger person than you are. And so getting across the front of the audience felt really imposing in a way that I worried would be too negative and hit the audience in a way that, well, it made me uncomfortable, frankly. And I was worried about making them uncomfortable. So we altered that. We could keep in a lot of the other, nastiness to the audience, which is, yes, delightful. In terms of audience interactions that I've loved, there's something special about why people buy these tickets. It's not the same reason that people buy tickets to come to the normal season of the Shaw Festival. They're coming to celebrate Christmas as a family, to share it with you. And so there is such a general warmth that comes from the audience toward the stage that is just so, you feel honored to be a part of and to be embraced with and to accept that and to honor it. So that's been so delightful. And people, we get more kids to this than nearly anything else. And there are lots of comments that get voiced and lines that are thrown back from the audience, like the repetition of the money, money, money. Sometimes you'll hear a chorus of little money, money, monies out in the audience bouncing back at you. That's gold.
Oh, that's magic. And what was it like? Because you both, as Scrooge, you also have to puppet yourself. Your little mini Scrooge comes out of the money box and then you get to fly yourself around. It feels very meta. What's that experience like of having to actually do that interaction with yourself?
I'd forgotten about that till right now. It was fun. I actually particularly loved being hidden behind the set, maneuvering him above the set with Christmas Present. I remember really enjoying doing that particularly.
I love that. What about the holidays themselves? What about traditions that you have? What about things that you do as you near the holiday season? Is there something that you look forward to? Is there something that you love because it does come around every year, just in your own lives?
In Prince Edward Island, we try to do a family get-together every Christmas. And as I mentioned, it's a really big family. I have 21 first cousins, and they all have their kids, and it's huge. And so we all join. We always gather in someone's home, and we have a deck of cards. Everyone has to bring a gift, and we have a deck of cards, and we do like someone opens a gift, and then the next person who their card gets pulled, they get to either steal that anyone's gift or get a new one, and that's just a lot of laughs. So I look forward to that. But that's my favorite thing at Christmas time.
Favorite thing for me, there's so many that all relate around food and family and the decorations of it, the colors of it. Our son is now 10, so seeing it through his eyes, being able to celebrate Christmas through the eyes of a child is absolutely glorious. And again, those decorations that you acquire over years, that our Christmas tree, I'm sure, like many families, has decorations where every year you pull it out and it's like, right, we bought this in Mexico when I proposed to you, Marla, and et cetera, et cetera. This one was from our honeymoon and when we went to France. So it becomes a revisiting of those tangible objects that are mnemonic devices themselves to go back. And the food is a similar way with the tastes and things. And of course, I must say that one of my great delights and rituals of this is that I got to do this play so many times with my wife, and that Marla and I were Hubble and Mrs. Hubble, and
so beautifully.
And I gave myself the challenge of inventing a new name for her every single show.
You did. That was amazing. It was so funny.
That was one of my favorite little games backstage before the show, to try to think of some ridiculous Victorian double or triple barreled name.
Do you remember any of them?
Oh, yes. I can remember the rude ones that I wasn't allowed to say.
We gotta keep it clean for the families.
Yes, we do indeed. No, but I would try to go for something that was like involve one of the obscure virtues, like temperance, Prudentia Temperance Hubble, or something like that. Yeah.
And what was it? Okay, so when we first were doing the show, because of COVID, we stopped doing it, but we used to have a sing-along. Words would actually come up before COVID, and you used a Victorian term for the projection, to cue the stage manager to bring the projection on. What was it? Because it's one of my favorite. It was one of my moments where I was like, oh, see, this is why Graeme is like, he was
phlogisticated heliography, I think is what I called it. The phlogiston was this Victorian theory about how light was transferred energy. Heliography, sending messages with light. Yeah, TC gave me a wonderful gift and challenge. As we were rehearsing the very first time, he said, I need you to introduce this, so invent something. So the first Hubble speech there And then again, the speech that happened there, that's all me. That was something I wrote. So it's been delightful to sort of refine that, chisel away at that. And that was one of the instances, yes, that I loved being willfully obscure, as my wife will attest.
That's brilliant.
Amazing.
And I also, Graeme, I'm just going to ask, you had to step in for Hubble just recently.
I did last year.
What happened?
Yes, so I stepped away from, I had done Hubble and then Scrooge, and then stepped away to go to Lehman Trilogy in Toronto. And then the season after, I wasn't in the show, but dear Christopher Bowman came down with, I believe it was COVID. He was certainly quite ill with a very bad cold. I think it was for like previews and opening. It was very early on in the process. And there normally is a swing, but the swing wasn't actually rehearsed in or available yet. So I got the call, 16 hours before curtain or something. It was, the evening of the day before the matinee of like, can you go on and do this? And of course, I had taken a year, 2 years off, and then hadn't played Hubble since prior to the pandemic.
Oh, right. So because you've been Scrooge. So you actually hadn't played Hubble in years.
4 years. I got the call and went over it. And again, the puppetry and everything. I was surprised at how quickly it all came back. Really, overnight, I was able to get it back in my head and do it off book.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was like putting on, an old pair of pants or something. It was
comfy old
very
shoes.
familiar. Yeah.
Wow. So, Michael, do you think you could, Sanjay has to call out this season? You ready to jump right in there?
I would love to, but I think everyone should be praying at the same time. Barely remember my name. That's amazing. You did that. It's crazy how things disappear. Like you finish a show and it gets replaced by another show. I remember going to see a show at Stratford years ago, and I'd done it my first season. And I thought, oh yeah, this was a really important show in my life. I'll remember it. And at the end of the first act, someone dies, and I thought, that happens? Like I didn't even remember the plot. And I'd done that 120 times, and I just didn't remember the story. It's amazing how it disappears.
It's just, the files go back up into the cloud, and you have to work really hard to kind of download them again to put them back in your brain.
I was thinking about something that Graeme said, and something I love about this production is it's sort of seeing this story in a lot of ways through a child's eyes. And you're invited to sort of see the show in an innocent way, which I think is quite beautiful because we use things like puppets and shadows. And I think that allows the adults in the audience to watch the show from the same point of view as the kids that are there. And I think that's quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That generational experience. It's been interesting to think that this show has been going on for so many years now. I mean, we got it back as quickly as we could after COVID. I think there was only really the 1 year that we didn't end up doing it. But the idea that now kind of full circle, that there were some young teens who are now like who's grown up and who's now starting to think, who's took their niece and nephew, and now like it's that kind of generational thing where you get a traditional piece like this and you start seeing those, the people. I mean, these tickets they book them and they are coming that night because this is that night that they come and they do this and they go here, and it's part of their whole holiday planning goes into, thinking about coming to see this show at the Shaw Festival. And to think that you both, and Sanjay as well, have been such a vehicle for that, to hold that piece. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I don't think you really leave the stage for this whole show, right? There's not time when you actually, what's it like to prepare for something like that? What does that take? Because as much as we're talking about how fun and beautiful and amazing it is, there's a rigor, there's an intensity to carrying a show in that lead position.
I think though in some ways, every character in that play doesn't really leave the stage. If they leave the stage, they're doing a really fast change to come on as somebody else. I think the rigor involved is probably the same for every person, because no one really has a break.
Quite an ensemble piece,
It's
really.
quite an ensemble show. Yeah, if you don't see them on stage, they're running around like crazy backstage.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Michael. In many ways, Scrooge has the simpler track. As anyone else, you have dozens of costume changes or getting into puppets or arranging things or putting something somewhere or being a coat hook or whatever it is, that the backstage is a very complicated dance to get involved in. There are times, for example, I remember, I think it's Patty in the top. She's underdressed she has 4 costumes on. Or it's either 4 or 5, where she's got layer upon layer upon layer, and she's just got to strip one and then pull some pants on for another.
Peeling it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's no time to fully change in between any of them.
And Scrooge is really lucky that he doesn't have to shift gears. He stays on the same path from the beginning to the end, and everyone else is shifting to make the story work. So I agree. I think the rest of the cast has a harder job. The Scrooge is, I think, the easiest of the parts that way.
So do either of you have an Easter egg or a moment that the people coming down to see the show should pay attention to? Something that they can look out for?
It's great to examine when you're sitting in the audience that front cloth and really check out where the Advent calendar numbers are and what details you recognize. Oh, I was going to say a fun fact that I just remembered is most of those costumes had come over from Norway that first year.
That's right.
And the Scrooge gown, the guy who did it in Norway was very similar in size to me. So I just used his, and it was really like elasticy and fun to run around in. And they kept wanting to change it because it was falling apart. And it's like, no, don't change it. I liked it because I was so used to it. Yeah, but it's kind of cool that we got to inherit those exact same costumes that were worn in another country.
Here's my Easter egg. For the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, try to see if you can figure out when the puppeteers change. Because every single one of the puppeteers that are in that, there are 3 puppeteers in that at all times, but all of those people appear on stage in that whole sequence at some time, so they have to be swapped out in a way where the audience doesn't see the magic.
Yes, that's a brilliant Easter egg. That's fantastic. This has been awesome. Thank you both for your time today and your heading down the holiday memory lane with us. This has been really lovely. Thank you.
A great pleasure.
Thank you.
A Christmas Carol is playing until December 21st. Tickets available at shawfest.com.
Thank you to Michael Therriault and Graeme Somerville for joining us as we wave to Sanjay Talwar in Edmonton. And thank you, as always, for listening. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to say hello, please drop us a line at podcast@shawfest.com. We love hearing from you.
Let's Get This Shaw on the Road is hosted by Alexis Milligan and produced by me, Kelly Wong. Original music by Travis Cito. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what you hear, subscribe and leave us a review.
Next week, we'll be joined by Kate Hennig and Alison Plumunden to talk about what it's like to come back to a show after a time away as the director and choreographer of White Christmas.
We'll see you then.
Let's get this show on the road.